Oh, here we are, coming at you live from the new KG Tropical Studio. Compliments of the one and only Elon Musk. Hopefully you all can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. And hopefully this goes smoothly. I did a test yesterday with the channel members and it seemed to work out really well. So we will see. Sound and video are good. Mark K. Pets was the first to give the audio video fantastic. Thank you, Zen. Yes. Hey, listen, double fingers crossed here. I think it should be okay. Yesterday, as I said, I did the test on the channel members, and there was a couple of little spots where it got a little squirrely, but what I did was today I ran to the hardware store, had to go to 2 hardware stores. We've got 2 hardware stores in town, which is real nice. And I picked me up a 100-foot piece of Cat 5e, which is all they had. They didn't have any Cat 6. And I have it running across the floor all the way through the house. Lisa would love this. And it goes into the family room where the Elon router is sitting. So I think that should help eliminate those few minor little buffering episodes that we had yesterday. We'll see how it goes. I got my fingers crossed here. If this works out really well, then we're going to keep it going. I mean, why would we stop? However, I do have to make an announcement before we talk about anything else. There is one thing I can guarantee you about this live stream, and that is that unfortunately, there will be no live stream tomorrow night. Thursday, next Thursday. And that's for a very good reason. I think anybody watching this would completely understand. And if you don't understand, well, you could probably never be a friend of mine. Our youngest is graduating high school next Thursday night. And I will be heading back up to Virginia for that. And then that weekend is when the rest of everything is going to get moved down here, including my wife, who I miss very much. The kids too, whatever. But yeah, everybody and everything and all of the animals and everything are going to be coming down next weekend for good. We'll lock the doors on that house in King George for the very last time. And we'll start the next chapter officially down here. Although the next chapter has started a bit early for me. I've been down here since Saturday, and I guess, I thought about it. I went through the whole story because it's an eventful one with the channel members yesterday. And I said, you know what? I want to leave that to them exclusively. I want it to be an exclusive for channel members thing, but that's not fair. I don't want to be a pay to play channel. The channel members definitely get behind the scenes stuff. They know things that you don't know. Every single name that you see in the chat right now that is green, they know things that you don't know. They know things, and you don't know those things yet. And I like to keep it that way. But when it comes to major things like this, I do think it's worth talking about. And I will let you in, because not as many people watch the live streams as the main videos on the channel. These days, nobody watches anything because everybody's outside doing what they want to do with their lives. They're not sitting in the house watching fish videos all day long. So this is the slow time of year for YouTube fish channels. But I don't remember what I was getting at. Good job, John. You're a real professional. This is what you do. Oh, I know what it is. I can talk about, I'm going to have I don't want to call it clickbait. I don't want to call it clickbait. Jeff Rose is in here. Look at this guy. I don't want to call it clickbait, but there's going to be a thumbnail that I'm really looking forward to that's going to be coming up probably 2 weeks. I don't know how all of this is going to lay out. This weekend's video is all about the floor in the fish room and getting the fish room ready for fish tanks. And then I suppose the week after that's going to be the beta room, the start of the beta project. Oh, that sounds cool. The beta project. Maybe that's what I'll title it. And then the following week is going to be moving all of the aquariums in there, which we will talk about today. And I want to say, you know what? Let's not talk about that on the live stream. And let's just make everybody wait and see it. And that's what Lisa wants us to do too. And it makes total sense. But let's be real. The views of this are going to be 1/3 of what they are of that. So not everybody is going to see that. So anyway, we will go over the events of this weekend because it is it's a rough one. So I guess I have to catch everybody up because there might be people. In fact, before I started the stream here, I saw somebody say, it's the first live I've been on with KG Tropicals. So this might be somebody that's brand new to the channel and does not realize what's going on here. How come the Oscar tank isn't behind me? How come Lisa's not sitting across from me with the beautiful yellow lab tank behind her? Well, that's because the yellow lab tank, the Oscar tank, and me, we are all in North Carolina as we speak. And Lisa is still in Virginia. Do not be alarmed. We are still a happily married couple. We have 2 weeks apart while we transition down here to this new property that we bought in North Carolina, Northeast North Carolina. And basically we had to move the tanks, the aquariums, all 22 of them, I think, all of the beta tanks and the entire business. We had to move all of that last weekend. And so if we're going to have live animals down here, it's not going to be the kind of thing that we're going to just be able to come down here on the weekend and feed them and take care of them. No, somebody has to be here all the time. And we can't take a 2-week break off of the business, shipping orders and all that kind of stuff. So I'm down here to run the business and take care of all of the fish and take care of Jasper and Daryl. I haven't shown you Daryl yet. 2 cats came with this house, but Daryl's a drifter. He goes around and I think he's well known in town. The ladies love him. The guys don't love him as much because he continues to come back here with injuries, and Lisa gives him antibiotics, and he's real good now. But he is a drifter. He comes and goes. So I haven't shown him on the channel because he has not been around when I've been filming. So I got to be down here to take care of all of that. And I'm not going to lie, it sucks. I love being here. I love the new place. I spent a couple hours today between dinner and live streaming, starting to put the bobbleheads away. I still got 2 boxes, big boxes, of bobbleheads sitting right here. So that's going to continue to evolve as the weeks go on. But I like being down here. It's great. The house is great. The new barn with all of our product in there, packing orders, is great. The new fish room is amazing. It's fantastic. But I sure do wish I wasn't here alone. That kind of sucks. I miss Lisa. I miss the kids a little bit. I miss the dogs. I'm being silly when I say I miss the kids a little bit. Here's the reality. I am with our youngest on Fortnite more than I am in person, even though up until last weekend we lived under the same roof. He would be in the next room and we would be playing Fortnite together. And I would spend more time with him doing that than I would face to face. So that's why I say miss him a little bit, because I can still see him on Fortnite. It's not a big deal. Even though he doesn't go on there anymore because he's too good for Fortnite. Our youngest daughter goes to college, so I never see her anyway. She happens to be home now. Anyway, that's why I said I wasn't being a jerk when I say I miss the kids a little bit. I barely see them anyway. So, but I miss Lisa a whole lot. And I really do miss the dogs. I miss having my chihuahuas right here, making all kinds of racket and doing what Chihuahuas do. It's just boring. You know, been playing quite a bit of Fortnite. Elon's been taking care of me with the Fortnite. That was weird. I just looked up on the screen and it said no data. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully it didn't mess up for you. But I love being down here, but then again, I also don't, because I want us all to be together. So be going back and forth the next 2 weeks. And then, like I said, a week and 2 days from now, goodbye, Virginia, forever. We will only be coming to you to visit at that point. Everybody we know, all of our kids, well, except for one when she's in college, and all of my siblings, my mother, Lisa's mother, everybody, they're all up in Virginia. So we'll be going up there quite a bit. But anyway, that's kind of the game plan. But for the weekend, moving the business and the aquariums down here, I'm going to leave some things spoiler free so that I can save some fun for the video, because we did have some issues, but they didn't involve fish. So don't worry. You'll have to tune in for that. And I started talking earlier about the thumbnail. I know I'm scatterbrained. You don't have to tell me. The thumbnail is not going to be clickbaity because it's a real thing. But you rascals, you're going to think it's one thing. And that's kind of where I'm tricking you a little bit, because it's going to be something completely different. Just a little, I don't know, spoiler. I don't know how I'm going to do this yet. I got to figure out a way to get the picture taken. I don't know, but I'm going to be holding a lot of broken glass in the thumbnail. I'm not going to tell you what that glass is from. Channel members know what that glass is from because I told them about it last night. We had to do this whole thing over the course of 2 days. There is no way, is the new place haunted? Not that I'm aware of yet. I have not had any particular issues. I have not had any weirdness happen here. It is an old house, 1845. This house predates the Civil War. I'm sitting in a room right now that was built in 1860. This fireplace mantle that you see behind me was built in 1860. The floors, all of it is 1860. The windows have been replaced, so they're not original. But when you have an old house and you're in the South and people bury their families in the backyards in the South, you start to wonder about those kind of things. But there has not been any issues. The house makes a lot of noise on its own, so maybe those noises are the family members saying, "Hey, get out." But I don't think that's it at all. It's been event free, and that's a good thing. So I am the only one in our family that can drive a 26-foot U-Haul truck. And that's not because I'm such an excellent driver. It's because, Lisa's not going to drive a 26-foot U-Haul. So we needed to take the U-Haul down here. We needed 2 26-foot U-Hauls to get done what we needed to get done. And since I can only drive the truck, we just decided to do it in 2 trips over 2 days. It was the right way to do it. It all worked. But let me tell you something. The fact that I'm by myself doesn't help either. I'm going to be honest. It's true. This is why you don't look at the chat, John. But yeah, when you're by yourself and you got the graveyard in the backyard and it's an old property and the house makes a lot of noise, sure. Every time you hear a noise, like, who's that? Who's there? I've never said who's there, but it does, like, kind of look over like, what was that? Usually it's the cat or it's something, whatever. I haven't had any scares yet. Let me put it to you that way. But we needed to do this over a 2-day period. And we filled that 26-foot U-Haul truck to max capacity. And I mean, front to back, top to bottom. I just did top to bottom, I mean, just jam-packed. Now, on Saturday, when it was the aquariums, of course, they take up quite a bit of room on their own. And that actually led to some problems, which is going to be why I'll be holding that glass in my hands in that thumbnail. But Friday, it started out, I made a mistake. I said this in the member stream yesterday, and I meant it. I take full responsibility for it. I thought the job was going to be a lot easier than it was because when you saw the bobblehead move, you stop that, Christopher. You knock it off. I know what you're doing. If they start falling off, then we're going to have problems. My newest, I don't think I've shown you, and I don't think you can see them, but I'm going to try to put my finger on him right there. It looks like Wayne Gretzky, but it's not. It's Tony Hawk. They gave him away at a San Diego Padres game. Anyway, I ordered him off of eBay. I didn't go to San Diego. I thought that the job was going to be easy because we have our product. Friday was the business day. Friday was the day we were going to move all of the product that we sell on our website. That was all going to come down here, including the racks that hold all of that. We don't have all the product just sitting on the floor. It's all on racks. I thought it was going to be easy because we keep all of our product in these bins. They're called bins. They're not like totes like that. Not that kind of bin. They're actually made out of cardboard, and they're really convenient for putting them on the shelf, and then you fill them with product. It keeps things separated and organized. It's really nice, and it looks better too. The vision that I had was that we were going to be able to grab all of these boxes, these bins, stack them all up on top of each other. It was going to be nothing. It was just going to be running the bins out to the truck and then running the racks out to the truck. We'll be in the truck on the way down to North Carolina in 2.5 hours. Well, 5.5 hours later, we were finally on the move because I was wrong. That plan did not work well at all. Those bins are not meant to be stacked. They're meant to be put individually next to each other on these racks. Otherwise, they will collapse into each other. Lisa figured that out. She said, "Stop it, dummy. We got to do these a different way." I think she did actually call me a dummy too. It hurt my feelings. But we had to remove all of the product from these bins, put them in new boxes, tape all of that up, and carry them out. And we had a genius packer with us that day that was packing the truck, and it was pouring down rain. Forgot to mention that. So we had the truck pulled all the way up to the garage. Something did fall. You heard that. It did. I don't know what it was. It's because I'm moving so much. That's funny that happened. Put that in one of those haunted house videos. A lot of the bobbleheads have, which one was it? They have little baseball bats, and they don't stay in the hands of the players very well, and they fall all the time. They did it at the other house too. It's not Mr. Perry, Lisa. Don't worry. So anyway, this guy, his name's Chris. He's amazing. He packed the truck so beautifully. Everything was stacked neatly on each other, and it was Lisa and I would be putting all of the product into the boxes, taping them up, handing them off. The our two boys would be running them up the stairs. They're workout freaks, so they enjoyed that. And they were running them all out to the truck and then starting with the racks. And then we got the entire truck filled. There was nothing else that was going in there. And I think we hit the road at like 4, and I thought we were going to be on the road by noon. So didn't work out the way I wanted it to. We ended up getting down here at about 8, again, pouring down rain. We did not have a crew to help us unload. It was Lisa, myself, and CJ, our 18-year-old. We unloaded the entire truck by ourselves. Unloading is always much faster than loading. That's just how it works out, because you're not packing and stacking and trying to be neat about it. It's just get it out and go. We were bringing all of the product in to a wide open space, and I was like, it doesn't matter where it all goes. There are some things that we knew that goes in that room, that goes in that. But for the most part, it was get it indoors, and then we're going to close this door and get back on the road and head back up to Virginia, because the next day we had to load the truck up again with all of the aquariums and bring them down here. So that was the real fun day. But the most fun that was had the whole weekend was the ride from North Carolina back to Virginia. We left here at like 9 or maybe 9:30. I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We ended up getting home at about 2, which, see, it's doing this to me again. I wonder if the Wi-Fi even matters, because it's saying YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Hopefully I'm not buffering for y'all. This is kind of how it's going to be, folks. There's nothing I can do about it. I cannot get a better signal from Elon. Actually, I think they are going to be offering a souped up Starlink at some point, and I will get that at some point. But not yet. I think it's like $500 a month. If this becomes a problem, that's what I'll do. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. No minor glitch, no buffering, you're smooth. Okay, that's good. This is going to throw me off every time it happens throughout this first stream. And then once I can get comfortable with this, I know when I see that yellow banner, it's not something to panic over. I'll just move on, and that'll be good. So the ride from North Carolina back to Virginia, we didn't get to Virginia, didn't get to our house in Virginia until 2 a.m. And it was the worst ride of my life. It was the worst ride of Lisa's life. CJ, I'm assuming it was the worst of his too. A 26-foot U-Haul truck with nothing in the back is basically a cardboard box driving down the road. It is a nightmare. It was the worst experience of my entire life. And I'm not going to say I'm never going to rent from U-Haul again, because if you rented a 26-foot truck from Penske, it would do the exact same thing. It's in a light box, empty. What do you think is going to happen? It was pouring down rain. It's in the middle of the night, and it's like the best way I could describe it, and I don't know how many of you are going to be able to relate to this, because I don't know how many of you have been to King's Dominion in Virginia, but one of the most fun roller coasters in King's Dominion in Virginia is the Grizzly. That roller coaster will beat you up. I mean, but it's so much fun. You get off that roller coaster and your neck hurts a little bit. For some reason, your knees hurt. I don't know. You're sitting down. It will beat you up. You feel like you got into a fight with Mike Tyson after you go on that ride. Well, that's how it felt for 4 hours straight on the ride home that night in the pouring down rain. It was the worst. But we made it through it. Believe it or not, Lisa and CJ both fell asleep for the last 20 minutes. And then CJ, of course, being 18 years old, he embellishes everything. He was like, I slept half the ride. No, you didn't. We were on the road almost to our house when you fell asleep. But anyway, it was miserable, but we made it through it. It would have been way worse if I was by myself. So we fast forward to Saturday morning, the day to bring the tanks down. I had more people show up than I expected to show up. On the Virginia end, we didn't have that many people that actually made the trip with us. What we had to do was assemble a group of people on each end. We had our North Carolina crew and we had our Virginia crew. And I think, happy birthday, Paul McCarthy. I'm late seeing that. We had about the same amount of people on both ends. The Virginia end was more difficult because we were taking the tanks out of the basement, 3 big tanks, the 2 125s and the 240. And that meant carrying them up the concrete stairs from the basement in the basement stairwell, around the back of the house, and then into the truck again in the rain, because of course it rained the whole weekend. Why wouldn't it? So absolutely miserable. But I had some surprise people show up, including my nephew, who I play Fortnite with every single night. He may even be watching this. I was blown away that he showed up. 2 of my nephews actually showed up. And one that used to be my nephew, but now, don't worry, Lisa, I'm not going to say it. It's a fun little inside joke that we have. But family showed up, and the kids showed up, and we had a good crew. Getting the tanks into the truck was a lot less eventful than I thought. The problem with this, first of all, was that it was raining. And second of all, I knew almost instantaneously that everything was going to take way longer than I anticipated. Of course, that's the kind of story of the whole weekend, is everything takes longer than expected. Draining the tanks, even though on my 360 I had the CJ Ultra Zero, which you could water your grass with that thing. You put that thing in one of your tanks, run it through a garden hose, and put a sprinkler on the end. You can water your grass with that thing. It moves a ton of water, and I'm not being paid to say that. I love that product. I had that in there along with 2 siphon hoses running out the door, and it still took like an hour and a half to drain that tank. And then the 240s, and then the 75, and then the 125s, and it was a lot of standing around waiting for the tanks to drain out. And then, of course, when you're a bunch of dudes standing around, there were quite a few shenanigans that happened. Some of it may have been caught on video. I don't know, but nobody got hurt. It went very smoothly. And that's about all I can say about that. But the other reason why I felt very guilty about this, and it was really stressing me out, was that the North Carolina crew was here waiting. I had my hopefully soon to be son-in-law, or I shouldn't say soon to be, but hopefully future son-in-law, because this kid is as strong as an ox, and he lives in North Carolina. So I know I can call if ever I have something heavy going on. I'm telling you, this kid is as strong as 4 average human beings. I mean, it's Steve Rogers level strength. He was here waiting, and his brother, who's a CrossFit athlete with a glorious mustache, they were waiting. And then we had 2 blockbuster level YouTubers here. Jimmy Donaldson. No, I'm kidding. Don't freak out. Come on. No. If you don't know that name, that's Mr. Beast. He lives right down the road, about 40 minutes down the road. But we had Whips World, who's in the chat. I've seen him over and over and over again. Of course, he's in the chat. He came here from Chicago, ladies and gentlemen. Chicago, Illinois. There is not a Chicago, North Carolina. That's the next town over. Even that would have been impressive. No, this guy drove through Indiana, the rest of Illinois, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, and then into North Carolina. I don't know if that's the route he took, but the point is the guy traveled halfway across the country to get down here just to help us. Isn't that crazy? I said he was crazy. And I still think he's crazy, but I got to tell you, there's no possible way that I can repay that guy. How do you do that? It's just crazy. And that's not all, because Eric Furlow from Furlow's Aquatics came up here from Florida. I don't know if he said publicly where he lives in Florida, so I'm just going to say the state of Florida. He came up here with his buddy, Eddie, who I had never seen before, never met, had no clue. He could have walked in the room. I wouldn't have known it was him. In fact, when he pulled up, I didn't know it was him. Met him for the first time that night. It's like 8 o'clock at night. We finally get here with all of the tanks, and I met him for the first time. And I was a little bit relieved, because I thought, this is a guy that's just going to some complete stranger's house to help him move aquariums that weigh 750 pounds apiece. I was a little bit relieved to learn that at least he was a fan of the YouTube channel. So that made things a little bit easier, but they were all here waiting. And then we did bring CJ and our daughter's boyfriend, Doug, who's another guy that's as strong as an ox. We had all of these people, and they all helped. And here's the weird thing. I did not do this on purpose, folks. Until we got here and Whip's World was here. Whip's World is a little older than me. Just a tiny bit older than me. So I'm not going to make any old jokes, especially he spent an entire day twice in his automobile driving here from Chicago. It's insane. I'm not going to make old jokes with him, but he's a fraction older than me. But when we were on the Virginia side, I was by a mile the oldest person there. I could have been the father of every single young man that was there helping us out. So up in Virginia, I guess I could have made the excuse, well, I'm the oldest one, but I barely lifted any tanks. These dudes just basically grabbed it and just hoofed it. And in a lot of the footage that you're going to see in a future video of this whole day of moving these tanks, a lot of times you see me just kind of, come on guys, like walking next to them, not carrying a thing because they just took it and ran with it, which I'm not going to complain about that. That was awesome. Down here, it was a lot of the same. I mean, half the time I would be over here focusing on something and somebody'd be bringing another one of the tanks in. And I'm like, what's happening here? How is this all happening so fast? It was amazing. It really restored my faith in friends. Not that I didn't believe any of these people were my friends. That's not what I mean by that. What I mean is I didn't think I had very many friends. I was like, hey, I sit at the computer all day and I make videos and I send people fish food and, I play with my bobbleheads. I don't have a lot of people that I socialize with, but I felt like the most popular man in the world that day. It was a glorious feeling. And I met people for the first time that day on both ends, which were awesome people. One of them actually was how do I say this? This is going to be fun. My nephew's wife's brother-in-law's friend. And his last name, I think it was him. There was two of them. His last name was Anger. Can you even imagine that? How cool would it be to have the last name Anger? That just sounds like somebody from a early 2000s emo band or something. But this guy had no clue who we were or what we were going to be doing. But then when my nephew said, yeah, my uncle has a YouTube channel and he has a business and he has all these aquariums, the guy was like, oh, well, what's the channel? And he said, A Cage Trouble. He's like, oh my God, I know that guy. I watch their videos. I think him and his dad were thinking about getting an aquarium or something like that. And they had watched a bunch of our videos. So that's kind of cool. And then of course, Eddie on this end, was familiar with the channel. So, it was a very smooth process. It was not easy because the way I gave you the tour last weekend of the old fish house, even though, well, yeah, you did see the inside, but you saw old footage of the inside. The way the property lays out, if you look at the drone footage that I put up in last week's video, you see there's trees all around the entrance of this building. So there is no pulling the truck right up to the front. We can pull it up to the side of the porch, and that's exactly what we did. And we ran the ramp down there. But in order to do that, Whip's World had to pull out my DeWalt pole saw and cut down some limbs off of a magnolia tree, which is right outside of the fish house, which I told him to do it. I mean, that's what he does for a living. He works with trees. So I was like, and he's the size of a tree too, which is crazy. I told him, hey, you're the tree guy, take him down. And he got to use the tool and I haven't even used it yet. So it's kind of made me a little jealous, but, I had fun moving that rubble over the weekend when I was here by myself. But anyway, took the limbs down, pulled the truck up as close as we could, put the ramp down onto the porch, which sounds like it made things very easy. And it kind of did until you get to the 360. The 360 was a challenge. And I'm sorry, I have to divert here for 1 second because I believe, and no disrespect to, I see Alex is in here and I see a lot of other names. Yep, there it is, Deborah Quarren. That's my sister, y'all. I can't not acknowledge that my sister is in the chat. If your big sis had known about it, I would have totally been there to help. I know you would have. And I have absolutely no doubt of that. But you know what? You know, the tanks were massive, heavy. You've seen them. You've touched them. You know, I mean, they're big. I didn't even carry them. So I would not have been okay with you helping move aquariums. Little boxes, sure. But the aquariums, no. Plus, this house is farther away from you than the other house is, which is very unfortunate. At least I think it is. But anyway, that's my big sister, Deborah Quarren. You see her in the chat there. I don't know if she's still here, but it's very cool. How cool is that your big sister watches your stream? I get a kick out of that. The challenge happened when it was the 360. If you're not aware, the 360 gallon tank is 8 feet long, 3 feet deep, meaning front to back, and 2 feet tall. That was a very big challenge to take across the porch and then turn to get into the building. It couldn't happen. We couldn't do it. So what had to happen was I had to back my truck, my Dodge Ram, up to the back of the U-Haul. We slid the U-Haul, we slid the U-Haul. We slid the tank into the back of my truck. And then I drove my truck around because I can get my truck to be parked like directly in front of the door. I had to do one of these deals. I had to do the Austin Powers thing, and Whips World yelled at me a bunch of times because I kept doing it wrong. But I was able to get it in to where the tank was facing straight, and then we could take it in. But then there's the other challenge. The fact that the door in that fish house is about 40 inches wide. And it's about a 40-inch opening. And the tank is 36 inches deep. So that much room on either side, which meant there was no such thing as a bunch of people carrying it. I hate to say it this way, but it's the only real analogy, carrying it like you're a pallbearer in a funeral. You know, that's how we did a lot of these tanks. I've got those big suction cups. We put them on the sides, and then you either carry it like this or you carry it like this, like you would a casket in a funeral. That's how you do it, and it works. You can't do that with this tank because nobody's that skinny. So you basically can only have people on the ends, which meant we had like 6 people on one end basically going, pushing the whole thing. Because what we did was we took the stand, put it in the doorway, and then took the tank, slid it up onto the stand, and then slid the whole thing into there. And the cool thing is, with the brand new concrete floors in there, as soon as we crossed the threshold into there, it slid around like it was nothing. But it was getting it to that point that was the real challenge. But thankfully, we had a bunch of super strong individuals that were able to get it in there. And it went off without a hitch. I mean, it was, we had no tanks break. We had some breakage. We'll talk about that in the video in a couple of weeks. That's what I'll be holding in my hands, all that broken glass. It's lids, okay? Come on. What did you think I was going to... I'm not going to allow anyone else to take any responsibility for this. I broke a bunch of the lids. And I'll be holding up the big shards of glass from that and doing one of these kind of things, you know, in the thumbnail. I don't know. What are you going to do? But that's, you know, you'll know. But a little bit of buffering, of course there is. I mean, that's, you know, hopefully it doesn't get too bad. But, yeah, John, let's slide a 26-foot truck. Yeah. Stop looking at the chat, John. So once all of the tanks were in there, hopefully we're not buffering anymore. I would love, if I could, to get a heads up that everything is okay. I know there's like a 15 or 20 second delay. Oh, I'm just going to keep on going. Buffered for a second and a half. Okay. So, you know, when you move 22 aquariums, you don't just put them in the room and then say, yay, the job's done. I can walk away now. Because you have fish that are still needing to go in there. You need to refill all of the tanks. You need to hook the filters up and get all of that running. And thankfully, again, restoring my faith that I have friends. I had Whip's World, Eddie. I don't remember his last name. I'm sorry, Eddie. And Furlough stayed after everything. Because, see, that sounds like everybody else was lazy and just bailed. No, it wasn't like that at all. Lisa, our daughter, her boyfriend, and CJ, our son, who hurt himself that night, they all had to drive back to Virginia again because our daughter had to work the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning. She's self-employed. She had a client the next morning at 9 o'clock, so she had to get back home. And then plus, you know, all of the animals and all that kind of stuff. So they all had to get back. And then our other daughter and her boyfriend and his brother with the glorious mustache, they had to go back 2 hours to Raleigh. So, you know, everybody had to kind of disperse, and that left us to get the big tanks hooked up. Now, I will say this, Lisa and Jordan, our oldest daughter, the two of them, and Kenzie, I think, helped on this end. I don't know. There was so much going on. They handled everything that was, let's say, 75 gallons and smaller. They handled it. None of us dudes carried any of those tanks. At least I don't think we did. They carried them all. They drained them. They took care of the fish. They put the fish back in. Once we got here, they handled all of that. And so when we were all moving these big tanks in, they were getting all of the nano tanks situated, all of the aquatop ones that we've been scaping. And she has a snail tank, a shrimp tank. There's a whole bunch of tanks that we got set up in place. She got them all set up and running, got the heaters back in them, filters running, lights on them. Fish are all in there. Fish are fed. Everything's good. And that's when she left. So Furlough, Whip's World, Eddie, and myself were in that fish room till almost 3 a.m. Getting them all up and running. And of course, it was one problem after another. And there's nothing or no one to blame for these problems. It's what happens when you have a bunch of aquariums. You're going to have that pipe has a little pinhole in it and it's leaking. This thing is, this heater's not working. Why isn't that pump pumping? You know, and then filling them all back up. We did have the concern, and this was a breakthrough for me. I couldn't even believe it. We have a water heater in that studio. You may have seen it in the background in last week's video. You'll definitely see it a few weeks from now because I've actually got footage of myself putting it all back together. It's a small water heater. Word of advice, never call it a hot water heater. It doesn't heat hot water. It makes water hot. It's a water heater. Don't call it a hot water heater. Everybody calls it a hot water heater. But anyway, it's about this tall. You know, usually your home water heater is like 5 feet tall. This one is like a little stubby one. It's like half. So it's probably, I don't know, 30 gallons. But it's almost like one of those instant water heaters. What are they called? The Renais or something, whatever they're called. It's almost one of those because the hot water just never stops. And that's great when you have all these South American fish and African cichlids that want the water up over 80, discus that wanted it 86. That made things so much easier. And I don't know, it must be the way I hooked it up. I just hooked it up really, really good. I don't know why that water heater is as good as it is, but it just is. It came with the building, so I can't take any credit for that. It took till about 3 a.m. to get them all full of water, warm water, and everything hooked up. I'm going to save the the scare. No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you about it because I don't have any footage from it. I don't have anything that I can do in a video except for just explain it, which is what I'm going to do right now. Thank you, John. Such a peeve of me when people call it a hot water heater. Isn't that funny? I mean, that's like everybody calls them hot water heaters. It drives me crazy too. We did have, there was a major scare, and if I was going to do a video about this, I would simply just be explaining it. So I might as well just explain it to you. Lisa, I'm waiting on that text, by the way. You know the one I'm talking about. Thought you were going to do it, but I'm waiting. Keep looking over there. I sent a little cryptic message to Jason Adams earlier, and he just texted me back a little bit ago. We had a major scare, and it was one that I lost sleep over, and I almost lost a lot more sleep, but it has a happy ending. So to move the fish, we do have footage of all of this. My white little work van that I have that I used when I was fixing furniture, and I still kept it, and I don't know that I'm ever going to get rid of it because it's great for delivering packages to the post office. We used that van. That was the fish van. We put totes like this in the back of the truck. We took water from the aquariums. We put them in there, put that water in there. And then we put, yes, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about, woman. You know. Don't fail me again. I'm looking. It's an inside joke between Lisa and I, folks. Sorry. She's playing the dumb game, but she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So we had like 8 totes in the back. They were not all this size, but we had some smaller ones. And we would put however much water was needed. Like for the Oscars, we had a good 8 inches in there because they're really tall. I had the bikers and plecos separate. So there was only like that much water in there because they're always down at the bottom. There's no big deal. The discus had quite a bit more. Yellow labs, not that much because they're small still. But all of the bins had the water in them. And they were, that's how they were transported. And our daughter Jordan transported them down there. And there was not one drop of water on the floor of the van when she got to North Carolina. So I was impressed by that. There were lids on it, but still, she did a great job driving them down. So it gets to be, it's 2:30 a.m. and me and the boys that are out there are exhausted. And I'm doubly exhausted because anyway, we talked about all that. And the 2 days prior to that, I laid hardwood floors, which is something my body is not used to. So, I was still recovering from that. It's 2:30 a.m. We're exhausted, but we have a van full of fish. It's time to get them into the tanks. And again, the restoring friendship thing, it was restoring my faith in friendship. It's not like me and these guys had a rocky relationship and we restored our friendship. I didn't mean for it to sound like that. Not that at all. I didn't think I had any friends. And then that day, all of a sudden, I feel like the most popular man in the world. These guys, they started doing work on these tanks and I never even asked them to do it. I mean, Eddie was behind the tanks, hooking up the plumbing and using the heat gun and getting, getting it all ready, and they're filling them all up and they're treating them with complete, and they're doing what fish keepers do. And I don't have to stand there and watch or monitor what they're doing. They all know what they're doing, and everything went without a hitch. Yellow labs went in the tank, no problem at all. That all ran down and hid because that's what yellow labs do. The Oscars and the bikers went in the tank and they were like, oh, we're back in here again, huh? They could care less. Goldfish, their derpy selves, they fell in there, no problem. Everything was perfectly fine until it came time to do the discus. what I would consider, and don't take this the wrong way. I think you all know exactly what I mean by this. The most important fish in our fish room, because they're Lisa's fish and they're her favorite fish. And we haven't even talked about the betas yet, but we'll talk about them. Very uneventful for the betas. So that's why I don't really need to talk about them. But the discus, they were a birthday present from me to Lisa for her 24th birthday. And, these are very, very special fish for her. She treats them like babies, and they're very, very special to her. So anything goes wrong with these fish, your boy is in big, big trouble. Well, guess what? Everything went wrong with the discus. The only thing I can, no RIP. No, this is not that story. This is not a sad story. This story has a happy ending. But I thought that it was going to have a very, very sad ending. So here's what happened. It was a very cold night. It's 2:30 in the morning. Even though it's North Carolina, it was still, it's North Carolina in May. It still was cold that night. And when I say cold, we're talking about like 50 degrees, but a little drizzle, which made it feel like it was about 45, some nice wind. I live in the middle of nowhere. There's no trees and stuff to block the wind. So the wind comes through and it's pretty brutal. It was a cold night. They were still sitting in the van along with all of the other fish. And what would happen is the bins, particularly for the Oscars and the discus, they had so much water in them. There just was not a way to carry the bin into the fish room with all the water in it. They weren't filled, but they had that much water in it. And it just made it entirely too heavy for one person to carry. And not only that, the bins would never hold. Like, we would be carrying it and they would just collapse and you'd have discus flopping on the... No, not going to do that. So what we would do is we would drain the water down, not like to that, but drain it down to make it to where we can carry it. And so the discus were not on their sides, but they were leaning a little bit and looking up at us like, what are y'all doing? Like, they were not happy about it. We brought them in, set them right in front of the discus tank. And then all of a sudden, all 10 of them and all of the 20 or however many rummy nose are in there too. They all started basically dying. I mean, I'm looking at them and I'm like, all of us, we were all standing around going, oh no, what's happening? And my only instinct was, I've got to get them in the tank. I mean, they've just basically looked up at us and said, enough of this. We're out. And getting them into the tank where it's warmer, there's water movement, it was my immediate instinct. So scoop them up, put them in there, and the discus, I don't even know how to describe it. They would go in the tank and just kind of, they were dying. They were on their sides. And they were not swimming at all. Occasionally, if you would like touch them, they would dart out of the way, but then they'd go right back down to being sideways. And I'm sitting here watching it like, all these fish, these are the most important to her. And these are going to be the ones that give us problems. I'm freaking out. Grab a air pump and an air stone. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have an air stone. It was just a air line with the bloop, bloop bubbles coming out of it. And I start going to each individual discus and just getting the water moving through them. And, like a leaf fall. That's exactly how it was. It was just like it was scary to watch. And I ended up putting another filter on the tank. I ran to the barn and grabbed a Tidal 110, put that on there. And the reason why I did that was because when we fired up the FX4, it diarrheaed all over the tank. And it was, again, my stupid fault. I didn't clean the FX4 out at all. And then all of that vibration from the trip just made it completely gnarly in there. And it really did look like a plume of dirt going through there. So we couldn't even see in there into the tank. I didn't have lights on it yet. It's all this huge diarrhea water. I ran and grabbed a Tidal 110, stuck that on there. And so I had that extra movement. I had the filters running. I put another 300 watt heater in there, and I was putting myself in there, not my body, but putting my hand down in there with the airline, trying to get bubbles going through their gills. And I think it took, I don't know, Whip's World was there. He could tell you. I think it was maybe 45 minutes, and we could go, okay, whew, they're going to be okay. They were upright. They still weren't happy. They were still looking at me like, you, but they were there. They were not dead. They were no longer laying on their sides. They were no longer going up. If you ever see a discus looking straight up, that's a problem unless they're eating. They were no longer doing any of that. They were basically all kind of huddled in the corner together, but they were all upright and they were not happy, but they were alive. They weren't breathing heavy anymore. And I felt good enough to go to sleep. And the next day, I want to say it was like 7 a.m. I got up and went, and the first thing I did was ran out there and checked on them, saw that they were okay, and then went back to bed for another couple hours. But yeah, I had to, because I could not, as soon as I opened my eyes in the morning, I could not go check on them. They were completely fine. They're totally fine like that right now. They're eating like pigs. We did, unfortunately, lose one of the rummy nose. There was one rummy nose stuck to the intake of the FX4 when I got in there Sunday morning. But, you know, it wasn't a discus. And it's sad that a rummy nose didn't make it. But I am actually very pleased to say that of everything, of all the betas, probably, I don't know, 100, 150 betas. I don't know. I don't know how many betas we have at the moment. All of those, all the nano fish, all of the, our personal fish that we have in all of the big tanks, only that one rummy nose tetra, it's still to this day is the only fish that we lost for all of them. It's probably, I don't know how many fish. It's a lot. It's a lot of fish, including a new fish. I lost one rummy nose, but then I gained another fish that day. Yes, that wild man from Florida that made the trip with his even wilder friend brought me the most gorgeous ornate biker you've ever seen. Don't have any footage of him yet because I got a lot of work left still to do in the fish room. And it's hard because I'm here by myself and all of that stuff. But that tank is not looking its best. The water's clean. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say the water is clean, but it's dirty? Do you understand what I mean when I say that? It is clean in that it is perfectly healthy for the fish. They are all fine. They are all healthy. But there's bits and little things and little gnarliness that's floating around and makes it look not as good. And it would be embarrassing to show it right now. And they're pretty much all that way, except for the discus tank, of course. But because the discus tank has like enough filtration for Lake Anna. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's got a Tidal 55, a sponge filter, large sponge filter, a Tidal 110, and an FX4. It's a pretty good filtered tank. It's totally out of panic that 110 went on there. I'm going to keep it on there. It's not hurting them. It's not pushing them around or anything like that. So, hey, it'll just be the most heavily filtered tank in America. But I need to make all of the tanks look presentable again before I can show them to you and before I can show that ornate biker. And the other thing is with the lids, I told you, with the lids, a lot of them were broken. I've got makeshift glass on these tanks because I have to have them covered, particularly in a tank that has bikers in it. I had there's a couple of plastic tote bins, the lids, a couple of those on there. Whatever I have that I could put on there. And I think it's 4 tanks that have lids like that on them. Just a hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. I just put lights on that tank yesterday, and the discus tank. Clean but not polished. Yeah, I mean it's not what I would want to show on YouTube, but it's perfectly healthy for the fish. So, but before you know it, I will show that ornate biker. And here's the funny thing. Eric would watch my streams and he would see my videos and he would see the bikers going back and forth in the back, and he would judge his fish on those, and he would be like, yeah, I think they're about the same size. It's about half the size of mine. When I opened up the bin inside my van and showed him my bikers, he said, oh, my boys are hefty. But is that the Eddie? Is that the Eddie that just got on? Now, see, this is what's funny, because we've got Eddie and Chattanooga Ed. Everybody's coming on here right now. If that is the Eddie, I've been talking about you a lot tonight. If that's you, if that is the Eddie from the other weekend, from last weekend. So anyway, 3 a.m. went back to bed. Sunday, got up early, checked on the discus. They were fine. Checked on everybody else. They were fine. Went back to bed for a little bit. And then everybody came over. And the plan was, what I was supposed to do was get the warehouse all organized on Sunday. But after the 4 days that I had, and after all of just the mental stress of all of that, I was done. I was like, listen, the fish are all, the fish are all okay. They're not going to die. They're all safe. They're good. I'm done today. And I told the boys that. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do anything. As a matter of fact, I think I might have used a 4-letter word. I think I might have said, I ain't going to do jack, you know what, today. And we didn't. And I hope that the boys didn't think it was a wasted trip. We sat in my living room and we just did what guys do. We just sat there and had a good old time, just shooting the breeze. And it was a lot of fun. And we went out and had some pizza, and the waitress that helped us out at Pizza Hut, when she walked away, I told Whips World, I said, hey, you asked what made me move to North Carolina? It's people like that, because she was awesome. And everybody in North Carolina is awesome, and that's why we moved here. But had a wonderful day. And then I was basically just one day behind on everything. Monday, had to get the warehouse all organized. Still not perfect, but we've got an obscene amount of product that's going to be showing up here over the course of the next couple of weeks to fill that warehouse full of stuff. The most inventory we've ever bought. It's a little scary, but that's coming. It is him. Okay, cool. Eddie, yes, super happy to have you here. Should I tell everybody what you did out there Saturday night? I'm not going to tell him. I won't do that to you, Eddie. Even though it was funny. He didn't make a mistake. There was nothing like that. He just did something very funny that made us all go, whoa. Anyway. Everything now is kind of, now it's time to start getting set into a new routine. which is difficult because if I get into a routine, then Lisa's going to show up here next week, 2 weeks from now, the weekend, whatever. And, you know, she's going to change it all up. And so it's like I'm kind of in this limbo period again. And life is actually pretty easy for me right now because I get to run the business and I get to take care of the fish. She is finishing up everything at the other house, getting it all cleaned up, getting everything all packed up, preparing for a graduation party, taking care of our beagle who had surgery for the 3rd time today. That was a surprise. We didn't know until yesterday that was going to be happening. If it's not one thing, it's another. She is running around like a chicken with her head cut off. So I kind of have it made down here. But I do, before I get into these super chats, I do got to tell you, I was as miserable as I've ever been Tuesday, but it should have been the most glorious day of my life. I have to tell you about it because I've talked about it on this stream before, something I was looking forward to more. I don't think I've ever looked forward to anything in my adult life as much as I looked forward to the day that I went to the Kubota dealership and bought a brand new Kubota zero-turn mower, which is exactly what I did on Tuesday. It was the most amazing experience of my life, and I bring it home and cut the grass, which hadn't been cut in months, on a cold and ridiculously windy day. Like I said, if you look at that video that I did on last week, you see all of the land around our property. That's not ours. That's farmland. It's just wide open. There's nothing to block the wind. So when you hear the weatherman say it's going to be a little breezy, it's super windy for us. And this is apparently the windy season in North Carolina. And I live in the coastal plains of North Carolina, which means the soil is very sandy and the grass hadn't been cut in months. I looked like Pigpen riding around on that mower with this giant cloud of gnarliness flying around me at all times. Because let me tell you something, those Kubota mowers, they will throw stuff out, and it's all getting blown in my face, and it was in my eyes, and my eyes swelled up like this, and I couldn't breathe, and it was terrible. But I sure was enjoying myself on that zero turn. It would have probably been better if it was 80 degrees and sunny with no wind at all. Yeah, it would have been a better experience. But that was a special moment for me. I loved it. And I cut the grass over 2 days, and it was just as windy the day after. But I enjoyed it. Zero-turn mowers are like riding a ride at an amusement park. It is a completely different world, and I can't wait till I have to cut the grass again. I just hope it's not a windy day. But anyway, that's the story. And from here, I've got a ton of work to do out in that fish room. I got to get the beta room, the beta system figured out. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention that the beta tanks showed up on Monday, but they didn't show up here. They got delivered to our house in Virginia. That's nobody's fault. That's where we ordered them. So they got delivered up there. I'm going up there this weekend. I'll probably bring them back with me this weekend, but I don't know when I'm going to get the beta system done. But it's still a work in progress. Have a video coming out about that in the next couple of weeks. It'll be a part 1 of building the beta system. The second part will be doing all of the plumbing and all of that kind of stuff. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it again. The goal is to build the nicest beta system on YouTube. That's what I'm trying for. And channel members have a good idea of what it's going to look like. And I've gotten some really good feedback on there. I'm not going to try to toot my own horn, but I think it's going to turn out really, really nice. So a video about the floors, a video about the beta system, a video about moving all of the tanks, and then part 2 of the beta system. Those will be the videos coming out. And then all of the tanks. I mean, every single tank needs work. And I don't think I'm going to be like, okay, this week we're going to hook up the filter on my 125. I mean, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to try to get some type of substance in each video. But there's going to be a lot of videos coming out that are going to be basically getting that fish room up to speed. And I'll just be so glad when Lisa's down here, we can finally take a deep breath and just get to work on these things. So, yep. Now you are all caught up. We're like, what is it? Like 2/3 of the way through Deadpool. There you go. All caught up. There you are. You're all caught up now. And I guess I got to start talking to these people, don't I? Alana Balloon. That's a cool name. And Kimberly Williams. They both became members very early on in the stream. Hopefully you're still here. Welcome to the team. Rochelle Williams. Hola, John. I was wondering, do you or Lisa have pandagaras? They're just the cutest little algae eaters. Highly recommend for newbies like myself. We do not have any at the moment. We have had them in the past, and you are absolutely right. They are adorable. They are the cutest things ever. But we do not currently have any, not for any particular reason. We just don't. Liquid Zoo OnlyFins also became a member, then came in with the super chat about the hot water heater. Yeah. I could talk about that kind of stuff all day. We could have all kinds of fun with the like do-it-yourself things that people say that drive us up a wall. Me and Liquid Zoo OnlyFins. Tiana Hastings, I have a pea puffer in a 10-gallon tank, and I'm wanting to add an auto. Let's just say auto. How about that, John? Do you think there will be any issues? Yeah, there could be. Autos are really, really fast, and pea puffers are not. Pea puffers are aggressive, but they're also itty bitty. I am not in a position right now to tell you that would be a bad thing. I would be apprehensive about it. I would probably want to stick with more like Ancestris, like little harmless plecos, the little ones. I would probably feel more comfortable with that than I would autos. I've never had any autos be a problem, but the pea puffers are just so small. I don't know. Maybe I'm just the wrong person to ask that, Tiana. I'm sorry, but I try to keep it real here. I don't want to lie to you. Douglas Korb, great quality stream today. Can't wait to see the house come together. Already missing the big boys in the background. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. Because the thing is, the fish room, the fish house is like 150 yards that way. My Elon Musk router is that way on the opposite side of the house from where I am now. If you saw last week's video, the room that's painted McDonald's colors, which we will be painting, where I started the video off, that's the family room, and that's where the Elon Musk router is. It's the furthest point in the house away from the fish house. So what I'm saying is it's a really, really long way, and I don't think a Cat 6 cable or possibly even like a Cat 7, I don't know if that makes a huge difference. I don't know if I can run a line all the way out there. So what I may have to do, since this system seems to be working very, very well, the Starlink system, I might just have to get a second one and put that just in the fish house for streaming, or just do it here. I can set it up where Lisa and I can both sit in here, and it'll be fine. And we'll just have bobbleheads in the background. And when I get new ones, you'll see them up there. There's going to be a whole lot more up there next week, because that's just the beginning of the collection there. There's a couple in there that you can't see, and it's probably good that you can't see them, because people would get all bent out of shape. But yeah, that's a growing collection, and that's only a very small portion of the collection. We might just do it in here and not have fish behind us. I don't know. I think Bob Steenfod has done a great job showing that you don't have to have aquariums behind you to have a good stream. It's about what we're talking about, right? Don't judge me for drinking Coke. I'm a cokehead. I've told you that a million times. No Duke 23 became a member. Welcome, No Duke. Does that mean like you are not a Duke fan? You know, that's in my state, right? I can say that now. My state. That's in my state. But I don't care about Duke. Whips World, there's the guy. So how's the stream going? I've been doing Family Thursday and missed most of it. The big scare at the old fish house cramped my guts up so hard I thought it was going to break my spine. Yeah, we were all stressed. There was a couple of stressful moments leading up to that that are just very minor compared to the discus thing. Little leaks and stuff like that. It's no big deal if it leaks on the floor. So what? It's concrete. But yeah, we were all kind of freaking out with the discus. It was. I'm glad those guys were there because I tend to be more calm and rational when other people are around. If I'm by myself, I can kind of lose it a little bit. So I'm kind of glad. I'm really glad those guys were there for all the other reasons too, not just to be there for that. Do a green screen. No, I'm not going to do that. No offense to anybody who is doing that. I just haven't seen anybody do it where on a live stream you can't tell that it's a green screen. And it's not the YouTuber's faults. It is software and all of it's just not up to speed yet. I don't want to make it look like every time I move my hand, I don't want it to look like a blurry thing. You know what I'm saying? It just, you can tell when somebody's using a green screen and I don't want that for my live streams. I'll do it in the video, but I don't want it for the live streams. Hip Hop Hillbilly got my first fish today. 3 dwarf neon blue gouramis and 3 peacock gudgeons in a planted 40-gallon tank. You guys in prime time got me into this and I thank you. Well, that is awesome. It's something I hear so much. I hear it at the events that we go to because a lot of times Jason and I will be standing next to each other. People will come up to us and say that, it's you two. And in Orlando, it was, you two bald guys and that guy over there, Corey, you're the reasons why heard that over and over again. That never gets old. I love it. Stephen P does the green screen the best because Fish Rooms does good too. Beck's Fish Room does good too. I'm not saying any of those people are doing a bad job. What I was saying was you can tell, and that's not a dig at them. It's you can just tell, and I don't want you to be able to tell. I'd rather have my bobbleheads behind me than a green screen. That's just me personally. That doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong. It's just, I don't know. I'm going to stop now. Jerry and Dorothy I'm going to get it. I'm just going to say Barrow. How's that sound? Is that the right one? You became a member, and I really want to make sure I'm saying it right. Barrow. We're going to have to figure that out on the next members only stream because I do not like mispronouncing people's names. Melissa Jeswald, wow, this is a great story. Only one fish loss is amazing. Good luck with the graduation party and congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, when you go into a situation like this where you're moving 22 tanks and some of them have big, fish that are the size of small dogs, it's terrifying. And to get through all of it with only one casualty, and I hate to say it this way, but you all know what I'm saying. So don't criticize me. Just, you would say the same thing. When you only lose one and it's a fish you paid like $3 for, it's kind of like versus, a $200 discus or a $300 biker. You know what I'm saying? So don't try to act like you're perfect. I'm not saying Melissa Jeswald. I'm not saying because you are perfect. I'm saying anybody that heard me say that and you're like, how dare you say that about Remy Nose? Stop it. Stop acting like you're perfect because you know exactly what I'm saying and you would feel the exact same way. I see the bobbleheads made it safe. Glad I could catch the stream today. So far, so good. There's one up top. You can't see it because he's like right there. See what I have. This is all of the Nationals. And then this little bit right here is the Nationals too. I just haven't moved them over to here yet. But the top of this bookcase here, the top shelf is all Washington Capitals. There's Tom Wilson. There's Alexander Ovechkin, because of course. There is TJ Oshie, Yevgeny Kuznetsov, and John Carlson, who's my guy because his name's John and his number is 74. I was born in 74. Him and I have a special connection. But then there's also Screech, which is their mascot. Screech's head broke off. But the cool thing about bobbleheads is you just put the bobblehead back on and you never even tell. So you wouldn't know it unless you went to pick him up and turn him upside down, then his head would fall off. But that's the only, so far, I've probably got 40 more that I still have to take out of these two boxes over here. And plus I have a lot of superheroes and stuff like that. But the way I want to do it is Nationals would all be here. And then this one will be everything else. Like I've got Breaking Bad, Superman, me and Lisa, Tony Hawk. I've got a basketball player up there who I'm not remembering his name. All of my Funko Pops are up top. You know, other stuff. But that side will be all Nationals. Why do I talk about these things? I don't know. But Pixelated Moss asked about it. So there you go. Or didn't ask, but commented about the bobbleheads. High Performance Trucking, the ick went away fast. Have you heard of Pleco Banquet Box? Will the Oscars chew them up at all? I'm going to look it up. It's not like I'm going to be able to. Oh, yeah. Oscars will annihilate those. Are you kidding me? I mean, an Oscar is going to be curious about it and be like, hey, there's something in the tank. Maybe I should eat it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think they're going to be able to like take a huge chunk out of it. So put it in there, see what happens. What do they cost? $3, $2.50. So if the Oscar eats it, I mean, hey, you paid $2.50 for an Oscar treat. But I'm really happy to hear the ick went away fast. I don't remember talking to you about ick, but that doesn't mean I didn't. I don't remember what I said 25 minutes ago. So Regina Phalanges again with this woman. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why this happens constantly. It's just, she spoils us and I've never even met her. A $50 super chat that says, no comment, just take my money. This is an amazing way to make a living. I tell you what, I don't make a living from live streams, but you know what I'm saying. Regina, thank you. You've spoiled us enough. I am putting you in timeout. You are to no longer super chat for at least 3 months. That's it. No more. Because you've spoiled us enough as it is. We don't deserve you. I mean, I know I don't. Lisa deserves everything, but me, no, not that. Spoil me too much. High Performance Trucking became a member. Look at that. 2 bangers in one day. Xanadu, congrats on the big move. John plus Lisa, so excited to see what you do with the new space. Something pretty cool that I discovered the other day. And, you know, we got 6 minutes left. Can't do 151. There's 431 people watching right now, folks. I want to ask you this. I want you to do me a favor because I think it would be a lot of fun. You may not know this. I mentioned it in last week's video. I started a second channel. There has not been a single video uploaded to that second channel yet. But the whole premise behind that other channel is going to be me doing projects around this house. I don't mean doing the dishes and vacuuming the floors. I mean replacing staircases and, you know, redecorating rooms and replacing the flooring in our family room and painting the family room to not be McDonald's colors and all of these things. I think it's going to be fun and I think it's going to be a unique channel because I don't know that there's anybody on YouTube that is doing that with a 177-year-old house. So I think there's some appeal there. Could you do me the favor? of subscribing to the new channel. I sure do wish I had the link to that right now. The channel is called The Money Pit. Yes, just like the Tom Hanks movie. And yes, that is exactly why we named it The Money Pit. I don't have a single video on that channel yet, but there's 849 subscribers to that. Can you believe that? That is craziness. I think it would be really, really cool to get that to over 1,000 subscribers without any videos yet. Make me feel special, as if you haven't made me feel special enough already tonight. If you're interested in that kind of thing, or if you just want to see this old guy happy, subscribe to that channel. Going to be putting out some really, really cool stuff on there. It will never, ever take priority over KG Tropicals. That's where you're going to be able to see me just kind of let loose and have fun. So if you're into that and you like old house renovations, stuff like that, subscribe to that channel. And in the next 4 minutes, if we can get 151 more subscribers, we will get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Anyway, that would be fun to get to over 1,000 with no videos. I believe Candy Overhauls is the only one to accomplish that feat. Happy Gilmore accomplished that feat just yesterday. I don't need to ask what movie that references because, well, it was in the title, or it was in the thing. Chris Hurley, you could use a wireless point-to-point Ethernet bridge to get internet to the fish house. I have looked into a lot of those things. And what it seems to me like those will be great for using the internet. I don't know they would be strong enough for streaming, but I could try. We'll see. Christy Ann became a member. Lots of new members tonight. Welcome to the team, Christy Ann. Don't forget to join. It'll just be me. Sorry. For the next 2 weeks, it'll just be me. Next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, members only live stream. And that'll be the only live stream next week. Again, no live stream next week, next Thursday night, because I will be going back up to Virginia to attend our youngest's graduation from high school. And it'll be the last one we go to until grandchildren start graduating. And I think it's probably pretty safe to say I will not be live streaming 16 years from now. I don't think you're going to be wanting to watch a 60-year-old live streaming. Although we've got a few of those in our community, don't we? Maybe you will. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Jay Smart with the $10 broken glass fund. Thank you. That's going to come in very much handy because that's pretty much what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to order new lids. Of course, all of the lids that broke were on the custom aquariums tanks. Those custom aquariums tanks, the frames are built by hand. They're not mass-produced frames or lids. They're each individual. I've watched them do it. Each individual frame is made by hand. So each lid is measured and cut per that individual tank. So I got to get them all measured up and then order those. And they're probably going to cost a fortune. And that's okay because it's my fault. It is what it is. And I just will not, I will not share the bill with Lisa. Echo Delta with the $1.11 super chat. Thank you so much for that, ED. I just want to say it ED because that's the phonetic Echo Delta. So anyway, listen, folks. Can't seem to find the channel. Daggone it. I should have had that. And it's too late for me to... Regina Phalanges, you rascal, you. I don't take directions very well, but I'll try. There it is. Look at that. Look at Zen Ginger coming in clutch at the very end. There is the link to the Money Pit channel. I will be more prepared for that. Not next week because I will not be streaming next week. Again, I'm making sure you all are well aware, and I will post reminding you again that we're not going to be doing it. I will be at our son's graduation. I'm not going to miss that to stream. I'm sorry. I'm dedicated. I haven't missed a stream in years, but sometimes you just have to. I mean, I'm sorry. But anyway, listen, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. It went surprisingly smooth. I hope it went smooth for all of you. It was a lot of fun for me. I've enjoyed myself a lot. Thank you so much to everyone who has helped out in the chat. All of the mods. Lisa's been in there. All of the mods. Y'all have been doing a bang up job tonight. Thank you so much for all the help, because I can't do it and be doing this. I can't do both of them at the same time. So thank you so much for the help. I wish I had a hashtag. Bobbleheads. There you go. If you're going to go over to Fish Room Fever, as you should, Chattanooga Ed's going to be over there too. If you're going to go over there, there is the link to it from Zen Ginger. If you're going to go over there and hang out, make sure you put in the chat hashtag bobbleheads. That way they know I sent you. It's almost like an affiliate code. That way they know the power of the KG Tropicals live stream. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to go play Fortnite for a couple hours before I go to bed. And yeah, there you go. That's it for me. Thank you. And I will see you not next week, but 2 weeks from now.